Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
I'm sorry that I could not do a better job as a coach and a leader to help them play better in this game so they would have an opportunity to play in the SEC championship game.
Saban putting it on himself. That's what great coaches do. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock, alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris. Tonight from Buffalo Rock, Diet Pepsi. You know, I go back and forth between the leaded and the unleaded. Leaded, if you don't know, for me, is regular Pepsi. Unleaded is Diet Pepsi. But this week, I'm back on, as I let that spew on me, I'm back on the trying to eat right kick. So I'm going for all the great taste and no calories. That could change by next Tuesday. But for now, I'm a Diet Pepsi man. Remember to pick up some great Pepsi products the next time you're at your local grocery store. Well, Rodney, clearly a tough loss for Alabama this past weekend. Anybody that watched the game knows that. Auburn, well, they pretty much controlled the Iron Bowl and won the game 26-14, their largest margin of victory in the series since 1969. Crimson Tide, now the second #1 ranked team to fall the Tigers in the last 3 weeks. Remember, they blew out Georgia. After the game, Coach Saban met with the media and discussed the loss. This Coach Talk segment sponsored by Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports.
I'm still very proud of what this team has been able to accomplish this year and winning 11 games. I don't think we played our best game today, but you got to give a lot of credit to Auburn. They played very well. I think one of the biggest differences in the game was third down. We could not get off the field on third down. That allowed them to extend drives and led to several scoring opportunities for them. We didn't do a very good job on third down, so we didn't sustain drives because of that, and that affects time of possession and a whole lot of other things. So that was probably the biggest difference in the game.
Okay, Rod, let me get your analysis. Clearly, Auburn won the game. Yeah, it speaks for itself, but a closer inspection.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I think the third down that he mentioned right there, Gary, if you look at the differences between the last two games, 2016, Auburn was 2 of 12 on third downs. Alabama was 50%.
Right.
This game, Auburn was 50%. Alabama was 3 of 11.
Right.
Converting third downs. I thought that was the big thing. We said on your show, Crimson Tide kickoff Saturday morning, right here, sitting right here. I said I thought the difference in the game would probably come down to whether or not Alabama could successfully throw the football. I don't think they did. They were 13 of 23 in the game. I just thought they had a tough time, keeping Auburn off balance, throwing the football. I think that was one of the big differences along with the third downs.
Well, let me ask you this, because when you lose, you look at everything, obviously. It doesn't happen to Alabama very often. Brian Dable, I've had a lot of people tell me they didn't think the play calling lended itself to Alabama being successful in offense. Your thoughts?
I don't agree. I think Brian Dable's done a great job. I think, Gary, when you look at it, I know people say, well, they got away from the run after they had the initial drive in the second half that was a beautiful drive for a touchdown. But that's not really true. If you go back and look at the play chart and examine it closely, on Alabama's next possession, they ran it on first down. They ran it on second down. They came up 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, whatever. They didn't convert. Again, Alabama did not convert third downs until the fourth quarter. They had not converted a third down. That was the big key.
And defensively, as you said, couldn't get Auburn off the field on third down. Auburn made big plays. And Stidham, who we know can throw the ball and did a good job of it, but he's not a runner. Not in terms of his statistics,
exactly.
But he ran the ball for big yards against Alabama. That hurt, too.
And you and I discussed this last week. He's a good athlete. The guy was a high school receiver part of his prep career. So, again, he is an outstanding athlete. Did a nice job when he had to, had a couple of quarterback draws. I think he was the difference in the game for Auburn. You go back and look at last year, huge difference between their quarterback play. And I think he was the difference in this game for them. What was he, 21 or 28, Gary?
Yeah.
He just did a fantastic job.
And I think all Alabama fans are glad to see the Alabama fan growing up, Daniel Carlson, leave his kicker. The bad news for Alabama, now his brother comes in.
Yep.
Auburn's field goal place kicking has just always been really good. All right, we're going to move on from the Iron Bowl, and it's been a wild weekend for coaches in the SEC, with former Mississippi State coach Dan Mullen heading to Florida, leaving the Mississippi State head coaching job vacant. That's one of many vacant jobs right now, but there are rumors, not more than rumors. I mean, there are reports that Jeremy Pruitt has interviewed for that job in Starkville. Rodney, I like Jeremy Pruitt. I think he's a good football coach. I don't know, in my opinion, if he's ready for a head coaching job in the SEC, but if Mississippi State offers him the job, certainly he's going to take it.
Yeah, you would certainly think so. Look, I like Jeremy Pruitt a lot. I think he's got a lot of potential as a head coach. I think he's a great talent evaluator. I think he's a tremendous recruiter, and I also think he relates extremely well to players, Gary. I think he has a lot of potential as a head coach. You know, talking to people that are kind of close to this Mississippi State situation, I don't know that right now he's their #1 choice. I'm not sure where he might fall in the pecking order, but let's be honest about coaching searches. You know as well as I know, we've been through this many times. Most of the time, you don't get your first choice.
That's right, very
so,
rarely.
I mean, he could certainly be. And again, by saying that, I'm certainly not putting down Jeremy Pruitt. I've already told you how high I am on his potential.
Of course, the SEC or all the Division I coaching staffs will be able to add an assistant for next year. So there'll be a coach added regardless. If Pruitt were to leave, though, Tosh Lupoi, to me, would seem to be the natural heir apparent. I think already he has the co-defensive coordinator title, in fact.
He does. And again, I think Tosh Lupoi is a guy that's a great young rising coach and, you know, tremendous recruiter, does all of those things really well. And I think he probably would naturally be bumped up to defensive coordinator. We don't know that. And again, you mentioned the 10th assistant coach that will soon be added. There's talk that maybe Bobby Williams will be back on the field.
Back on the staff. On the field. He's on the staff now. All right, still to come on Tider Insider Television, a look at how the loss to Auburn may have hurt Alabama's chances at a playoff spot. See the brand new CFP rankings when we return. And a hard-fought effort by Alabama basketball in a loss number 14 Minnesota as the Tide almost pulls out the win with just 3 players down the stretch. This has gotten Alabama a lot of great attention. And we'll have that for you. And also, we'll be getting your phone calls, emails, and tweets. As always, the information there on your screen, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. There's the email address, or you can tweet at us as well using the hashtag TITV. We're back after this. Welcome back to Tider Insider TV alongside Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris. Playoff rankings tonight, you see it. Clemson #1, Auburn #2, Oklahoma #3, Wisconsin #4, but Alabama hanging in there ahead of Georgia at #5. Georgia is #6. Ohio State, if you're wondering, is back there at #8, although Kirk Herbstreit about choked on himself trying to tell us all the reasons why Ohio State should go over Alabama if it comes down to those two teams, if Ohio State beats Wisconsin. Quick thought, Rodney. Alabama hanging there at #5. Popular wisdom is the Auburn, Georgia winner goes, the Clemson, Miami winner goes. If Oklahoma wins, they go. If Wisconsin wins, they go. If Ohio State beats Wisconsin, and it does come down to Ohio State versus Alabama for that final spot, assuming Oklahoma beats TCU, where would you vote?
Well, I would vote Alabama, obviously. But let me say this. When you're talking about Ohio State lost, 55-24 to Iowa?
I thought it was 55-21.
Oh, whatever.
It was bad, whatever it was.
Yeah, and they also got handled pretty well at home by Oklahoma, again, the #2 team, or the number, what were they, 3, Oklahoma? So, but when you look at that Iowa game, you can't explain that one. You can't explain that one away.
Is everybody I turn on the TV now says Auburn's playing better than anybody in the country, and they might be the best team. You lose to the best team on the road by 12 points. That's got to be a better loss than losing by 31 or 34 or whatever it was at Iowa.
Right.
So we'll see. You know, the bottom line is if Wisconsin wins and Oklahoma wins, I don't think it matters. Alabama's out. And they did lose their control of their own destiny. They'll have to live with the results one way or the other. But to sit there and say a team that got in last year that didn't win its conference championship, and now you're saying if Ohio State wins its conference championship, that should be the reason they get in, that's double talk if I've ever heard it. But we'll see what happens. All right, Rodney, let's move on to basketball. A tough loss for Alabama as they lost for the first time this past Saturday in Brooklyn, New York against #14 Minnesota. But Alabama losing is just part of the story. The Tide bench got ejected after they left after a little fracas. That left them with 5 players. Dazon Ingram fouled out. John Petty hurt his ankle. So after that, they were down to 3 players for the final 10 minutes plus in that game. And they made a comeback. They cut it to 3. Colin Sexton went nuts in this game. Let's hear what the participants had to say about it.
It's a game, and we're trying to be competitive and win the game. At the end of the day, we just hate losing. That's our whole team in general, coaches, everybody.
When we was out there, we huddled up as a team, and we was like, y'all really trying to win this? And then it was like, might as well, we out here. So I feel like just the emotion that we had and like the passion we started playing with, once we started coming back, it was just crazy.
Bama loses 89-84. Riley Norris, Colin Sexton, and Galen Smith, the only 3 players on the court. But Sexton went for 31 in the second half, finished with 40. The first tied player to score 40 or more in a game since Reggie King in 1979 had 43 against Kentucky in the SEC tournament. Sometimes you lose and you feel good about it, but you never really feel great. But in this case, I think Alabama, because of the way it turned out, has gotten a ton of national publicity, respect, and Colin Sexton, we already knew he was good. He's an off-the-chart superstar now because of what Alabama did 3-on-5 in this game.
What were they down 14 when all the ejections and everything happened and 11 minutes left, and then they end up losing by, what, 5? So, I mean, yeah, you're right, Gary. It's phenomenal. And, I mean, Colin Sexton, as you mentioned, 40 points, just incredible.
And I tell you what, they play Louisiana Tech tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at Coleman Coliseum. They'll be allowed to start the game with 5 players again. As far as injuries, John Petty did hurt his ankle in that game. Coach Avery Johnson said today they'll evaluate his status tomorrow. And Braxton Key is now getting close to coming back. So this team, when it gets to full strength, look out. Well, a huge game for Falcons wide receiver Julio Jones this past weekend. Another record-setting performance for Julio. We'll have that when TITV returns. And up next, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, the information right there on your screen. Go ahead and get in touch with us. I know you want to talk about the Iron Bowl. I know everybody's got an opinion on what happened. Now's your chance to make it heard. Coming up next here on TITV. Well, Julio only had 1 touchdown going into the game against the Bucs. He's got 3 now. That's one of them. From Mohamed Sanu. I guess the Falcons figure if Matt Ryan can't throw him a touchdown, we'll let the other receiver throw him one. Ryan did throw him one, too. All he did was go for 253 yards on 12 catches. It's the 3rd time in his career, Rodney, he's had 250 yards or more receiving. Look at him break that guy's ankle almost.
Thinking, wow.
That's the only time that's ever been done, to have 250 yards games 3 times. He's also the fastest to 90 in 90 games for most receptions, and in yards he passed Lance Allworth. Remember him, Bambi?
Oh, yeah.
From the Chargers. So Julio is something special. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Sponsored by Daniel Moore's New Life Art. We like to call it the New Life Art Hotline. First up tonight is Dale in Moundville. Welcome in, Dale.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
Rodney, I guess you answered my question. The last few defenses, to me, seem like SEC defenses and stuff has seen our passing game and our running game with Jalen, where he runs around the edge and throws the ball out of bounds or whatever. But it just seems to me that we've abandoned the running game too quickly. All I see is we got 3 running backs that got 6 carries each, and Kerryon Johnson carries 30 times, and our defense is sucking wind, and their defense is in good shape by the end of the game. Do you not think we're abandoning the running game a little too early sometimes?
Well, you know, again, everybody has their opinion, Dale. I certainly respect what you say. But if you look at the stats, I mean, Alabama ran it 37 times for 209 yards in this game. I thought they ran the ball well. They only threw 24 passes, and one of those was by your punter who was holding for the place kicker. But you look back to last year, Alabama only ran it 44 times in 2016 and had 203 yards. So Alabama actually averaged a yard more per rush in this game than they did the year before. So I really don't see that, Dale. I think a lot of people jump to conclusions, but I bet if you look at it, you see a lot more runs than you think.
All right, let's take a tweet, Rodney. And this is from Shane Daddle. What all has to happen for Alabama to get in the playoffs? Well, Shane, I think we did a pretty good outline of it. Alabama can't do anything to help its cause at this point. It just depending on other teams. I think it comes down to will Oklahoma or Wisconsin lose, one or both. If both lose, I certainly think Alabama's in. If one lose, I think they got a really good chance. If Oklahoma wins and Wisconsin wins, I think Alabama's out. That's my opinion.
That's it. That's the scenario right there.
All right, so they need some help. All right, let's go back to the phone lines, New Life Art Hotline, and talk to Bill in Birmingham. Hey, Bill, what's going on, man? Bill, you with us? All right, Bill is gone, but he wanted to know about the college football playoff scenario. We pretty much laid it out anyway, Bill. I hope you got to hear what we just said. That's pretty much the way we see it. All right, let's go to Gadsden and talk with Doug. Hey, Doug, you're next up. Doug, you with us? Doug. All right, I don't know what's happening with our phone line. All right, Doug wanted to know about the defense. Did it play soft? I've heard that from other people. I don't think they tried to play soft. They blitzed more than I've seen them blitz all year. They tried to be aggressive on defense, just Auburn made plays.
They were aggressive on defense. I mean, there were a lot of blitz. I don't know exactly what he means by played soft, but no, I don't see that, Doug. I thought actually the defense, look, I know that they've had a lot of injuries, that they don't have the continuity that you would love to have going into a game like that. Gary, you did have some guys coming back still. A couple of those guys hadn't played for 10 games, 11 games. So, again, I think a lot of that, those circumstances, you have to look at it. They held Auburn to 26 points. And, you know, you say held them to 26. I don't think that's really bad against that offense, playing on the road. Again, I go back to the lack of production offensively, I think really hurt Alabama.
All right, let's get an email in. This is from Vanessa. When you have 6 running backs, why don't you establish a running game? Vanessa, again, and I'll let Rodney pick back up on it. I think what he said is right. When you rush the ball for over 200 yards, you've established a running game. Now, they didn't get the big, long touchdown runs as they've gotten in some games, and maybe, you know, that's what people are looking at. But they did run the ball pretty well in the game. In fact, that opening drive of the second half was one of the most impressive running drives that we've seen all year for the Crimson Tide. So, yeah, maybe could have run for more yards. But all in all, I'm with you. I thought the running game was decent.
You know what, Gary? I'm looking at it right now. Again, I keep looking back to last year. And Alabama ran 82 plays, I think it was, in that game last year. It's only 60 in this game.
Yeah, that's a big difference,
now,
22 plays.
Think about what I said earlier about the third down conversions last year, where Alabama was 50%. This year they were only 3 of 11. They'd had a lot more plays if they would have converted some of those. I guarantee you they would have run the ball more had they converted some of those third downs.
I think what some people are talking about is Jalen had so many more carries.
Well, he's had 51
backs
carries in the last 3 SEC games, Mississippi State, LSU, and Auburn. I think he's carried it 51 times. That's a lot for a quarterback.
Yeah, it is, and maybe that's what people were referring to. All right, we're going to be back with more phone calls, emails, and tweets right after this. Again, the number 205-348-9882. And let me encourage you that if you call in and tell our call screeners that you want to talk to us, please stay on the line, okay? It's a little frustrating when we go to you and you're not there. We'll be back after this. No surprise here, J.K. Scott, a finalist for the Ray Guy Award, one of 3 finalists given annually to the top punter in college football. 13 of his 38 punts this season have gone for over 50 yards, 21 dropping inside the opponent's 20-yard line. Only 4 punt returns allowed all season for Alabama for a total of 5 yards. That's remarkable. To vote for J.K. Scott to be the Ray Guy Award winner, visit the link below. The fan voting is equivalent to 1 National Selection Committee member's vote, so make your votes heard for J.K. Scott. He's awesome. All right, let's go right back to the New Life Art phone hotline presented by Daniel Moore. And Robert is with us in Millport. Hey, Robert, how are you?
Good afternoon, Rodney and Gary.
Hey, Robert.
I'd like to say, first of all, congratulations to our team and coaches. 11-1 season is remarkable. I don't care who you're playing.
Right.
But just a comment, you know, I know that Jalen gets a lot of criticism when things don't go well, but I can tell you this, Auburn's defensive line made the difference because, you know, it's hard to complete a pass when you're running for your life.
They're good. They're good, Robert. They are really good. And you're right, the quarterback gets a lot of criticism. That kind of just the nature of the game. It goes with the position. But I think that shouldn't be overlooked. Auburn's defensive front was everything they were cracked up to be. They did a good job in the game.
Yes, they did. Kevin Steele's done an outstanding job with that defense. I mean, it's really amazing. They're very talented, and you're right. I think defensively up front, that was really the big concern that we've talked about, and everybody's really talked about heading into that game.
Yeah, that's really the difference in their team is they've gotten really good up front on defense, which you have to be in this league. All right, let's go over to Hoover and talk with Jerry. Hey, Jerry, how are you?
I'm good. How y'all guys?
Very well, sir.
I was just wondering why we get so just keyed in on Ridley. Now, all the other defensive coordinators say they're not going to let Ridley beat you. They're going to have you double team every time. And the announcer showed that Edie was open for a wide open walk-in touchdown, and Jalen threw it into a triple cover Ridley.
All right, Jerry. Yeah, good point. I think that's legitimate. I think Jalen looks for Ridley early and often, and maybe to the disservice of some of the other wide receivers.
Well, I think the stat is Ridley has 55 catches, and all the rest of the receivers combined have 54.
Yeah.
So again,
he is good.
He's outstanding.
He is your number one guy. But you're right. The other defense coordinator knows that too. I think it's a good point.
Yep. And there's been some discussion about Jalen seeing the whole field, going to his first guy, being a one-read quarterback. You know, again, maybe that plays into it. Maybe it doesn't.
All right, let's go to BT right here in Tuscaloosa. BT, what's up? Got to go fast, man. What's up?
Hey, Gary, I just want to say that we have bad games like that, but Alabama fans need to keep our heads up, and good things to happen.
You're absolutely great point, BT. Best program in the country, best coach in the country. I guarantee you, everybody else would swap to be Alabama. Don't you think, Rodney?
I do.
I mean, over what they've done the last 10 years. All right, let's get a quick tweet in. Good point, BT. From Mike C. in T-Town, our basketball team has the potential to be phenomenal. Roll Tide. Yeah, I think they do, Mike. Now, phenomenal by Alabama standards recently might just mean getting into the tournament and winning a game or two. Yeah. I don't know if this is a team that has the potential to get to the Final Four, but you're right. I do think they have a chance to have a really special season based on what we've seen around here the last 8 or 10 years.
Well, I think they have the opportunity to set the tone for teams to come.
And who knows? When you got talent like they've got, when you get in the postseason, anything might happen. One more tweet. We're going to try it again. We appreciate the tweets. Cody Kirk 22. Do you think we called the right plays but just used the wrong personnel on screen plays or flat routes? That's hard to say. I do think there was one swing pass to Bo Scarborough. If he makes the guy miss, he's going for big yardage.
Yeah, and I'll say this, too. Stephen Roberts for Auburn made a great play.
A great tackle.
I mean, that was a great tackle.
He's a good player. He is. All right, what are we doing here? We're going to break. All right. Thanks for your phone calls, emails, and tweets. We'll be back with more TITV. It is a beautiful night here on the University of Alabama campus and looking toward Tuscaloosa. We'll be back right after this.
I mean, I'm probably just excited to watch it as you are. I just get a front row seat to it on Thursday, but I'm also looking forward to trying to kick ass, to be perfectly honest.
How about that? Justin Thomas is ready to play with Tiger Woods. They'll be together tomorrow in the Hero World Challenge in the Bahamas, or actually on Thursday. Justin Thomas and Tiger Woods playing together. I'm excited to see Tiger. They're friends. I don't know if they've ever played together in a competitive event, but they will on Thursday. They'll be paired together. It's going to be a lot of fun. You heard Justin say it, man. I want to compete. He's right now arguably the best player in the world. So it'll be interesting to see him paired with Tiger. All right, that's going to do it for TITV. Our beautiful shirts and ties tonight, provided as always by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original Elephant Wear. Go by and see Alex Gatewood and Rush and the folks there. They're great staff in person, or you can shop at their website, locker-room.biz. Man, they got great clothing and impeccable service. They will make you look your best. I promise you. Get by and see them or shop online. All right. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight. No game picks tonight because you can't pick the game when you're not in it. So hopefully Alabama will get in that playoff, though. We'll talk more about that next week. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Have a good night. Roll Tide.